guys. Thank you, and welcome, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday evening. Is that where we are? Yeah. All right. So let me just close one of my windows, and I'll get started. And yeah, definitely feel free to jump in if you have any questions. Don't be shy. So we're talking about, attracting the right patients and managing your reputation online. And again, my name is Randy Rossler. I'm the National Director of Podiatry Content Connection. Many of you know us. For those that don't, we've become really the #1 comprehensive agency for, digital agency. We only work with podiatrists. And unless you live under a rock, you kind of know that we live in a search society, that everybody has a smartphone either attached to their hand or an arm's length away. So, nowadays when people looking for a podiatrist or any other doctor for that matter, just about 99% of the time, people are going to search and check you out online. So your goal is not only to be visible in the places that they're searching, but also to convert that searcher into a new patient. And a lot of things happen between them, clicking here, looking at you to make your phone ring. So we're going to touch on a couple different things, but we're really, nowadays you could have a great web presence, and we'll touch on that tonight. But, you could have a wonderful website and content and everything's up to date. But if you have bad reviews, you have a problem. If you don't have enough reviews, that's an issue. If you have too many negative reviews, that's a problem as well. So reputation has a lot to do with a bunch of these things: visibility, trust, credibility, and all that. So your online reputation really equals your online reviews, and almost everyone checks reviews these days. Not everyone, not every single person, but the majority of people really do before choosing a physician. So because your website always kind of touts you as being really the best, and almost like an advertisement. So people need to add context and anecdotal information to what they read about you on your website. So, when it comes to listings and reviews, there's a couple elements to it. And the first is the stars. How many stars? So 1 or 2 stars is, you're in trouble. I mean, think about it. If you were looking for a new restaurant to check out, maybe you're in a new town that you're not familiar with, you're Googling and heard about a certain restaurant. If you saw that an average of 1 or 2 stars, you probably would not go to that restaurant. And if it's 3 stars, it's really not good enough. It's like neutral. 4 stars is certainly good. In our world, we always consider that 4.6 to 4.9 stars is what we consider to be excellent. And some may agree with this or not, but 5 stars in many cases seem questionable, depending on how many. Now, if you have 10 reviews at 5 stars, that's fine. But if you have 60 or 80 or 100 reviews, or 500 reviews for that matter, at 5 stars, a lot of people scratching their head saying, really? So it depends. But I mean, you want to have certainly a good number of reviews and at least 4 stars. So then there's comments. Really, a good comment is one that's, does not dissuade anyone. And a bad comment is one that's, hard to ignore. And then again, like the total number of reviews is a big deal. So too few reviews can indicate that the stars and comments should not be trusted, because they represent the opinion of only a select few, like maybe your relatives are putting reviews down there. So they don't trust that. So you don't want to allow, years of hard work to discredit all that you've done. So a negative review on Google, which in many cases, when somebody Googles a podiatrist by name, the Google knowledge box will pop up on the right-hand side. And if they see, 5 reviews there, or maybe 10 or 20 reviews at 3.2 stars, it's not a pretty picture. So that can really, hurt your practice and affect your patient flow. So any patient in a bad move can really leave a negative review, and you don't want that to happen. So, you don't want to see things like this where, worst experience, bad experience, poor quality, awful, like never going back there again. This is poison to a podiatry practice. You want to have, more 4 and 5-star review ratings and legitimate positive reviews that can help you kind of regain control of your story online. So, your online reputation absolutely matters, and it's within your power to actually create a positive narrative around your practice. Now, some podiatrists, by the way, they're so busy they don't even look at this, and they don't even realize until they meet with us, because we did a deep dive and ran all reports to show them what others are seeing. They didn't recognize that they've got very few reviews, that they have many bad reviews, and they're wondering why their patient flow has decreased. And this is a direct link to your patient flow in your practice if you have negative reviews. So, reviews are kind of like I call it the wisdom of the crowd. It's the opposite of a podiatrist website touting themselves, saying that they're beautiful. It's when other people talk about you in a positive way, that's a good thing. So most people really lack the medical expertise to truly discern a great doctor from merely a competent one. So they read reviews, and this is weird. They read reviews written by total strangers, but they tend to believe what they read. So after reading the reviews, searchers kind of decide whom to follow up with and who to call. And in many cases, two podiatrists in a similar area, geographical area, could look pretty good, all things considered. But one is a fair amount of good reviews, and the other one has a ton of good reviews. They look much better. They're going to that one probably. So even people find you through personal recommendations, whether it be from another doctor or a patient, will backtrack to read reviews just to validate what they've heard about you and see for themselves. And this is a big deal. That did you know that 94% of potential patients avoid physicians with too few stars or too many negative comments? So beware, because again, this has direct impact on your practice. So I do get podiatrists come to me and say, is there any way you could help us just kind of like delete these reviews or remove them? And unfortunately, the answer is no. Negative reviews can't be altered or deleted, but an effective way to ensure that a negative review doesn't disseminate your star average is to have as many legitimate positive reviews as possible. And there's systems in place that you can employ to make that happen. So, and again, you want to, question becomes, how do you, get legitimately boost your reputation online? So, step one is making sure that you're, that getting, good reviews is being visible. So building a complete online web presence, and there's a difference between a website and a web presence, to really put you in front of people who are searching for podiatrists. So nowadays, every patient's journey to find a podiatrist, to find you in your practice, is kind of unique. And as we call it, the patient is really the navigator. And they will start at one of many entry points and travel freely from one point to another in no particular order. Of course, many people start with a Google review, but they could also start on social media, insurance directory, or wherever. You never know how they're going to find you. Somebody could Google heel pain in Smithtown, New York, and up comes a blog post that leads to a website. So it could go anyway. So, and then, just know that when doctors have a great word of mouth business and referrals, which is wonderful, when they're looking for you, they're going to check you out anyway. So they're typically looking for these four things: website, a modern website that looks like it's, not old and outdated, content related to what their concern is. If they have plantar or heel pain or ingrown toenail, whatever it is, I want to see content that speaks to their concern, as opposed to just fluffy stuff that says how great the practice is. And then Facebook, because so many people used to navigating Facebook, they kind of use it like a search engine. And so you want to have content on Facebook as well. And all of the above, 1, 2, and 3, the website, content, and Facebook could be, well, good to go and looking great. But if you have negative reviews, then all of the above doesn't matter so much, because it's the reviews that can push people one way or another. So, of course, you want to have the website and the content, the Facebook up to date, but reviews should be, you want to employ systems that consistently help you be proactive to get more positive reviews. At the conferences, and yes, we are going to conferences again, which is a good thing. We've done several, and we'll be in New Orleans next week, and Chicago about a week later for the Midwest conference, and we're doing a lot of them. I see a lot of what I call the baby boomers out there. Podiatrists have been practicing for, they're in their late 50s, early 60s, have been practicing for 20 plus years, and they say, you know what, I'm good. I have a website. And 20 years ago, that might have been okay, a website, but nowadays we're all kind of spoiled, and a website doesn't cut it. It's kind of like saying, I'm good, I have a phone line. What does that really mean? So there's a really big difference between a website and a web presence. And this is some of the stuff we take a deeper dive in when we do a web strategy session, to show podiatrists how we can help them get from where they are to where they want to be, as far as the types of patients they want to attract. But a website is kind of like one dimensional, and a web presence is, like a website at the I'll call it the hub at the center, surrounded by, updated directories and content on a regular basis. And of course, reputation management. So reputation management of all these things really plays it's a crucial element of an optimized web presence. So you remember that movie with Tom Cruise where Jerry Maguire, where you had me at hello, being visible on Google is wonderful, but if when they click on the link, when they see you on Google and it leads to an older, outdated web page, I can absolutely guarantee you that you are losing a certain percentage of all the people that ever saw you on Google because they click and they don't like what they see. So you lost them at hello. So it really could decrease your chances of getting that new patient because it made a bad first impression. So nowadays, looks and first impressions online absolutely count. So, on the upper left-hand side here, you see a non-compliant website. It's not up to date. There's no content. It's kind of cluttered. And then, versus one over here on the right where it's ADA compliant for handicapped people. It's updated content, easy for the patient to navigate and so forth. So different animals, and they form different first impressions online. Nowadays, people want to see things like blogs that are updated on a regular basis. They don't want to just see advertisements and what I call fluff. They want to see educational content, whether it be blogs and or videos. Those things really score high with prospective patients and with Google, because Google loves content. So in our world, again, our company name is Podiatry Content Connection. So we have a unique system for creating content for each of our customers every single week. Keywords and key phrases are embedded into it. So that's a beautiful thing when it comes to Google, because again, Google loves content. So it's geo-targeted. That's one of the things that really helps our customers dominate in their local area, which is a great thing. So, I've been doing this almost 10 years now, and we have a survey at the conferences wherever we go, and I've been to so many of them, but I've been asking the same question for all these years. And, what is the value of a new patient on your practice over the first year? And, between the initial visit, follow-ups, procedures, ancillary services, repeat visits, et cetera. And it's been pretty consistent for all these years. And I've spoken to literally about 4,000 podiatrists over these years. And the question, East Coast to West Coast, seems to be the answer is about $1,000 for one new patient. Now, some tell me it's actually less than that. And others, for example, that might do more surgery, or maybe they have a surgery center, or they do more cash-based products, say the value of a new patient is much more than $1,000. But on an average, we came up with about $1,000. And we recently created this, which is, I call it, it's $1 million math. So we kind of took that $1,000 value of one new patient, and we kind of broke it into how can we add $1 million in revenue to your podiatry practice over 12 months. And so the math is, kind of simple. If a new patient is equal to about $1,000 over the first year, we took that $1 million divided by $1,000 that patient is worth. Well, $1 million divided by 1,000 is 1,000 patients needed over those 12 months. So 1,000 patients over a 12-month period is that's 83 patients per month. 83 patients per month over a 4-week period. It's approximately 20 patients per week, and then 20 patients per week over 5 days is about 4 new patients a day. Interesting. So, if I told a podiatrist that I could help you add $1 million to your practice over the next 12 months, but really how? Well, this is how. Basically what it takes is a marketing system that consistently attracts, 4 new patients on average per day, would equal about an additional $1 million in revenue to your practice, which is a good thing. Depending on the practice, this could be more or less, but this is on average based on 1,000. So kind of interesting. And again, when it comes to when it comes to reviews, there's a certain value to one new patient, but there's also a certain value to one positive review. So if you had a system that created a consistent flow of positive reviews, that is kind of, as MasterCard used to say, priceless. So again, we're still, in my mind, at the beginning of the year. People tend to set goals and so forth at the beginning of the year, which is a healthy thing to do. So I wonder how many of you, have set a goal for, how many reviews you can get. And some doctors like to give their staff at the front desk an incentive, say, get us 5 or 6 good reviews this week, which is not that many. And I'm buying lunch on Friday, whatever it is, give people incentive. But it's good to have reviews as far as how many goals to how many reviews you're going to get. So back to this web presence thing, in order to convert the searcher that we talked about into a new patient, you need to continually build your practice's visibility and relevance at each patient, what we call touch point. This is definitely easier said than done. I always tell people, don't try this stuff at home. Content, blogs, directories updated, SEO, Google's, Facebook, reputation management, social media, a lot of moving parts. And, so keep that in mind. And then, this is just a couple examples of how prospective patients out there find you in your practice. So many times they're just going to Google, whether it's in a laptop or on their smartphone, podiatrist near me, because it's geo-targeted. So it might pick up an ad from a podiatrist. So a Google search to a Google ad right to your website. That's one way.
And I'm going to jump in really quick, Randy. If you look in the chat box, you'll see what word to text and what word or words to text to get entered into our drawing at the very end. So don't forget to check out the chat box.
Cool. Very good. So this is one way. Another way might be like a provider directory. And you'll notice that it lists podiatrists by name and how many ratings they have or how many reviews they have and how many stars with those reviews. So, one is 224 reviews and one is 32 reviews. Not that 32 is bad, but 224 is a bit more impressive. So, so they see in a directory, it points to your website, to reviews, and then a phone call to your office. So a lot of the stuff that I just mentioned, an effective web presence, it's not like a slow cooker. It's actually got a lot of moving parts to it. And, to keep your web presence optimized to ultimately help your practice attract new and maybe sometimes better quality patients from the web takes a lot of time and effort to make this, work and do it right. And so I always tell podiatrists, don't try this stuff at home, because I've met them at the conferences. Yeah, you know what? I got the knowledge. I'll just do the blogs myself. So it's not going to happen, or I'm going to do Google ads myself. And so we've seen that before and it doesn't end well, So you want to, put your best foot forward and incorporate reviews request systems into what you're doing, and it will enhance your online reputation and gain new patients online. So speaking again back to reviews, is that you want to increase, of course, the number of positive reviews, not the negative reviews, and you want to crush the effect of a negative review with a large number of positive. Just kind of makes sense. And using the following 2 reputation management programs, you can gather unlimited, legitimate, positive reviews. And we have 2 systems, among others, actually. One's called Feedback and Reviews. It works with AI, like artificial intelligence, more like software driven. The other one's like Target Reviews, and they actually work quite well, either separately, but also in tandem, working together. So Feedback and Reviews is a program great for a practice that really wants to be aggressive, have a system that continually boosts their reputation to help them grow the practice. And it uses, like I said, artificial intelligence that continually works and sends out campaigns via lists. So, for example, most podiatrists have an EHR system that houses the patient's names and email addresses. Well, we pull from there. And what it does, it sends a campaign asking for feedback, not necessarily a review. The first thing is a feedback from the patient, and finds patients who want to give positive feedback and offer that. Then the positive reviews are distributed to top sites, whether it be Google, Facebook, Yelp, etc. We can kind of toggle that to where it goes. So sometimes if you get enough positive reviews on Google, we then switch it to, to someplace else. So when the system actually discovers an unhappy patient, it quickly notifies you, meaning the podiatrist and or practice manager, so that you can resolve the issue before it comes a negative review. And if you or your staff can resolve the issue and reach out to them in the proper way, the patient feels like they've been heard, and oftentimes they feel grateful. It's an opportunity to make something wrong to make it right. Now, targeted review is a little bit different. It's really best for doctors that don't collect email addresses through an EHR system or just getting started to build their list. So it's used in conjunction with that, with feedback and reviews. But it's more of like what I call the human touch, where after a patient sees you and the experience is good, the front desk might ask something like, "How did everything go with the doctor today?" And when they say, "Oh, it was great. He saved the day. You guys are awesome." That's when, you said, "Would you mind if we, send you a link?" So if they say something positive, and most do, the front desk asks permission to send this link to a Google, could be Google or wherever, to a review site. So it's just, how did everything go? Everything was great. Wonderful. Can I send you a link? Sure, no problem. And then they send the link. This is a screenshot of what that could look like. Describes their first name and it's, thanks for being a patient. Would love it if you give us a review on Google. When they click on that, it goes right to Google, and then they just click on how many stars or maybe a little something about the doctor, and that's it. So upon, patient approval, your staff enters the patient's email address into what's called a targeted reviews interface and chooses the review site to send to for the patient. So it's really, this is something that takes under 1 minute, but this targeted review system is a semi-automatic system, and there's some practice management built in here, is that somebody, whether it be the doctor or usually the person at the front desk, has to say, "How did everything go with the doctor today?" Prompt that question. And then when they say, "Oh, you guys are great," that's when you ask, "Can we send this to you?" So, we know that you have a lot of happy patients out there. Now, I want to let other people know, too, you don't want to be a best kept secret. So, and then again, with negative reviews, it's how you respond to reviews can really alter the perception of your practice. When a patient leaves a negative review on Google or Facebook or wherever, it's often best to respond to the patient directly via phone, if you can, as well as the review itself. Something as simple as, like to respond, say, "We're sorry to hear about your experience," can help others, reading a negative review, see that you actually made an effort to receive the feedback and further help the patient and communicate with them. So communication is key, and people, see that. So anyway, so over the last 15 minutes or so, I've touched on, mobile stuff, blogs, social media, directory optimization. Sometimes I call this Hungarian. It's like all this stuff, but all this stuff, all this digital stuff has a direct impact on a practice. But a lot of times podiatrists say, "What does this all mean?" And other podiatrists, I say, again, those baby boomers that have been practicing over 20 years saying, "It sounds pretty good, Randy, but to be honest with you, I think I have maybe another 5, 6, 7 years left, and then I'm done. So I don't even know, what does this all mean? Is it too late in the game?" And the answer is no. You want to finish strong wherever you're at. So if you're a younger podiatrist starting out, you probably grew up with the internet and you know the power of the internet and social media. If you grew up with phone wires and fax machines, maybe you've never really leveraged the power of the web. And so many podiatrists have been practicing and marketing, well, I should say not marketing, marketing the wrong way or not marketing at all. And then they adopted a shift, a paradigm shift. So, you know what, I'm going to take that leap of faith and start doing it the right way. Just blown away by the differences in their practice. So what does this all mean? It means that, we live in the digital age. We all know that, obviously. And the battle for new patients does not take place with the Yellow Pages. That was an amazing vehicle for all those years, but it's over now. And the Yellow Pages, YP.com, it's online. The physical Yellow Page is still around, but it's a fraction of what it used to be. So again, it takes place online. And again, we always caution podiatrists, and our perspective is we're kind of like advocates for podiatrists, really, is that if you spent 4 years of college and 4 years of podiatry college and 3 or 4 years of residency to become a foot and ankle specialist as a podiatrist or a chiropodist, whatever you are, your value is treating patients. So don't even attempt to do this stuff at home. It just doesn't make sense. So if you want to be what we call an online superhero to attract the right type of patients, you want to have the things I touched on, having a great looking modern website that's ADA compliant for handicapped people, that's fresh content, directories updated, reputation management that is systematized, that consistently gets you more and better, positive reviews. They have great visibility online through reputation management through content marketing and so forth, which leads to more credibility and ultimately more new patients in the door. So I always tell, whether you're a podiatrist, a plumber, an accountant, or a lawyer, doesn't matter. You should stick to your unique abilities, like I said a moment ago, and outsource and delegate. Give responsibilities to others. And so companies like us and others, we do the work for you. So you don't have to do it. We specialize only in podiatry. That's all that we do. So again, just like a great coach learns to delegate and outsource, you really want to adopt that mindset and, lose the do-it-yourself mindset. And also 2 words, expense versus investment. If you're investing in marketing and it's working for you, it really becomes a no-brainer because you're investing X amount of dollars and it's paying for itself many, many times over. It just becomes a no-brainer. It's not an expense, it's an investment. So many of our customers have been, they've met us at the conferences over the years, and we've touched their practices in many ways, almost always in a very positive way, and some of them significant growth. And I get calls, and again, we're out there at the conferences again, and it's like, it's nice to be appreciated. The doctors are thanking us for what we're doing and how it's noticeable and tangible about how proper marketing online is helping the practice succeed. So we love to hear that. And again, still the beginning of the year in my mind, and it's a good time to get your house in order, to get ready if you're like to do more in the new year. So I always say that you should take advantage of what we offer is we call it a web strategy session, where we take a look, just like a doctor takes an x-ray, might look at a foot or ankle to see if there's any broken bones or fractures, that type of thing. We do something similar. We take a look at your overall web presence online and see, identify your strengths. Maybe you have great reviews and lots of them. That's wonderful. Maybe your directories are updated properly. That's excellent. Maybe you're lacking visibility online. Maybe you don't have content. Maybe your social networks are out. It's every practice is different. So we spend a lot of time actually to invest in looking at you and present it to you in a brief but yet informative way, so you get a clarity about where your practice stands versus your competitors. And for those that want to grow, we're like strategists, and we can help you with that stuff. So if that at all interests you, I encourage you guys to reach out to me. Text web strategy session to the number here, 917-572-5088, or you can email me. So it's Randy Rossler at podiatrycc.com. And again, most people that go through this exercise, they're like pleasantly surprised, saying this is not a sales pitch. It's really educational, and it's really about showing you strengths and weaknesses, gaps that we have identified, and also areas of opportunity for the practice. And there's no right or wrong. Some podiatrists are very content with where they're at, and they don't want to really do too much more because they're already booked solid with appointments, and that's great. Others are still ramping up, or maybe they felt because of COVID, they were set back and they have gaps in their calendar, they want to do more, or maybe they just hired a new associate. Maybe they want to see less patients themselves, but they want their new associate to see more patients. So whatever, again, every practice is different, but I've been doing this for about a decade now. I've helped hundreds of private practices do a lot more to be more profitable, more efficient, and grow their practice through proper online marketing. So, I encourage you to take advantage of that. And we always send you a nice Amazon gift card just to thank you for your time. So appreciate that. And speaking of that, I want to thank you guys for your time this evening, because we're pretty much at the end here. So if anybody has any questions at this point, happy to take them, and look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, Randy, let's take some questions. I mean, sure. I know that the people on here have got to have questions. I'm curious to know, and this is kind of 101 basics. We kind of you present this information, and we assume that everyone knows the answer to this, but maybe you don't. Do you know how to respond to a review? If a patient leaves a review on your Google page, do you know how? Have you accessed that? Do you know how to answer and respond to those reviews? And if you have some questions, we don't have a ton of people online live with us tonight, so we can go ahead and unmute you, and you can ask your questions live, or you can type them in the chat box if you are a little shy, if you have stage fright. But
yeah, I see that we don't have that many people, so I encourage you guys to speak up, ask some questions, don't be shy, and I'm happy to brainstorm and answer any. And if I don't know the answer, I'll tell you. But been doing this a while, have a lot of experience helping podiatrists. But and you know what? It's almost like my bad joke is about going to a chiropractor. If you've ever been to a chiropractor, like nobody has a perfect spine. Like there's no one person that will walk into a chiropractor's office and say, "Wow, you know what? You're good to go." I mean, there's nothing wrong with your spine. Nobody has a perfect spine. Well, same thing here. No podiatrist has a perfect web presence. I don't care who they are. But some, don't want to be perfect. But they just don't want to look bad. I have a corny analogy is that, at the conferences, like, I do brush my teeth, at the conferences because I don't want to have dog breath, I shave, because I don't want to look like a grizzly bear. I comb my hair because we want to look good at the conference. We care. And one of our new ads coming out is about like, you look good in person, but do you look as good online as you do in person? And many people don't. They look good in person, but they get so busy. Yeah, they forget what's going on and I get it. They've got life and they have a practice and they have patients, and so they're busy. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, their website's outdated, their content's outdated, they have bad reviews. They don't even realize it, and then at some point they realize, or they wonder, well, what's going on? Like our patient flow is actually slowed down, or I don't like the mix of patients we're getting. So that type of thing.
Yeah. So, Randy from Podiatry Content Connection is the presenter of this webinar, and he is the expert in online reputation management. But Sarah and I have a decent amount of business-to-business marketing. Obviously, you've gotten our emails and joined us for this webinar. So if you have any questions about like email marketing or anything like that, we can tackle those too. The floor is yours. We really want to solve problems here.
For everyone who is online, I mean, I'm sure everyone is kind of in a different stage of the game in their marketing strategy. I still see some practices that don't have a website, or they don't have a Facebook page, or maybe they have the website, but it's maybe been like 10 plus years that it's been redesigned. And I think a lot of these things, especially when they're going through budgets, and kind of trying to prioritize where to go, or either where to start or where to revamp. Where would you recommend the brand reputation, the online reputation management? Where would you recommend this in terms of like the stage in the game?
I'm sorry, say it again.
If they don't, let's say they don't have a website, but they still probably, their name is still going to come up as a Google business listing.
Mm-hmm.
Is this more important than getting a website up, or is essentially like when should a practice focus on these brand management strategies when they maybe don't have a lot of the other, pieces created yet?
Right. I mean, in my mind, a website is, the first step, because in many cases, when somebody's referred to a doctor and they Google them and they don't see a website, like the Google knowledge page comes up just as directions and maybe their address and no website. People just expect a website, and they would, so that's like so basic, and so they would go on from there. But reputation management is right up there because, and again, if you were to Google Dr. Smith, and that Google knowledge box comes up and it shows no website, but it will show reviews if the review it will show up there or not, and so if they have no website and no reviews, remember I said before, you lost them at hello. Instead of you had me at low, you lost them at hello because they Googled you and now they're gone. At at the click of a mouse. So it's really stuff. I mean, in my mind, a website is really job number one, because it really tells the story of, of your practice. A lot of podiatrists they just have a link to maybe a LinkedIn account or something like that. It's kind of silly. I mean, if you're a professional, you should have a web presence. And nowadays, thanks to companies like Amazon and others, we're so used to seeing what we want. We're what I call internet smart and a little bit spoiled. We want to see it and expect that if they're a doctor or a lawyer, that they'll have a professional website that represents them. But again, like I said before, websites could be kind of like touting yourself, almost like an advertisement, but they like, show me what you got. Who are you? What do you look like? What do you specialize in? Where are you located? The basics. And then reviews are different, because those are not from the office. They're hopefully not. They're from others saying good or neutral things about the practice.
So I think it's like kind of a natural tendency when somebody has a negative experience to go online and tell everybody. But when somebody has a positive experience, often we kind of keep that to ourselves, which is unfortunate. Yeah. So do you have any strategies for podiatrists to encourage patients to go online immediately after a visit, to go on and say, please give us, if you had they don't want them to lie, but if they had a positive visit, to make sure that they do go online and provide that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I've seen doctors and they tell me that they have a nice postcard at the front desk with like a QR code on it, that's cute. But what happens is, even those with the best intentions, once they open the door to your office and they walk out the door to their car away from your office, that's again what I call the beginning of the end. Even those with great intentions, they just fall back into the world. They turn on the radio, or they get a text message. The next thing you know, they're on to the next thing. So timing is everything, in my opinion. So that system I had mentioned, for example, targeted reviews, is a kind of a semi-automatic system where, if they're just leaving, if they were just done being treated and somebody asks a question, how'd everything go? And they say, oh, you guys are great, fix me up. That's when really, that's a great time to ask, mind if I just send you a link right now, whether you email it to them or text it to them. It takes about 1 minute. So that's a semi-automatic. And then there's others where, again, after the visit, they might be sending out a review request, and that works sometimes too. That's why it's good to have these working in tandem.
Randy, so we've got a question that came in related to fees. So while you're thinking about how you want to answer that, what you guys were just talking about reminded me, we all go to like McDonald's or the grocery store or whatever, and it says, they hand you their 3-foot long receipt, and it says, fill out the survey at the bottom, and they circle it, and you crumple it up before you even walk away from the register. Yeah. Even though it's got a free McChicken or whatever it has attached to it. Yeah. And so there's obviously they're trying and failing at collecting a review. So it has to be, like you said, in the moment, right then. Send them a link that they can click on right when they're standing in your office, or when they get to their car before they pull out of the parking lot, where they could just type 20 words, and just click it and just make it as easy as possible for them. So Dr. Perry asked, what are your fees? I'm sure it's kind of situation dependent, but can you give us like a ballpark?
Yeah. Thing is, we don't charge enough. That's part of the problem. I say that half kidding around, because our programs, if they were for dentists or plastic surgeons and others, I can assure you that our rates would be double, if not more, than what we currently charge. But I think they say in the real estate business, you could think your house is worth $1 million, but it's really only worth what the market will bear. Right. So without trying to be cute, I would say that, we have very fair pricing on our systems. But when it comes to fees on if Dr. Perry's referring to reputation management systems, there's different programs. So, targeted reviews, for example, is a very low cost system. It's, it's under $500 to set it up one time, and it's under $100 a month. So it's not much feedback. Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's inexpensive. feedback and reviews is a different animal. It's it's AI driven software. It's more of a robust system, and that's still just under $1,000 set up one time, and it's a couple $100 a month after all discounts and so forth. But again, a lot of times we ask a doctor, how much is a review worth? Really, I mean, one good review, first of all, helps you with your credibility and your visibility, right, Sarah? I mean, you know that. I mean, reviews are SEO friendly. And by the way, negative or positive, they're SEO friendly. They're going to rise to the top, so you want to get more. So that's as far as rates for reputation management systems. They vary, but they could be as low as, like I said, a couple $100 to set it up and under $100 a month, depending on the system. And then if somebody's inquiring about what we're known for, which is our Practice Builder program, which is really what gets them the modern website and content on a weekly basis, and directories updated and connected to social networks. It's an integrated system that does all that. Again, most podiatrists are pleasantly surprised to see what we do and how we do it. Other podiatrists say, well, I just want a website, just want to host it. So if somebody wants to just host a website, we're certainly not the company that you want to be speaking to, because we're not in the website hosting business. That's again, a website is one thing. A web presence is really the vehicle that drives eyeballs. You want to tap into the eyeballs that are searching for heel pain in your town, that type of thing. But we're fairly priced.
I like how you say the difference between web presence and web site, because Dr. Perry's asking again, would he have to give up his current website? What is a practice builder site? And I think that's
right.
An important distinction, because people who already have invested a lot of money in their current website might be reserved and not want to move forward with the marketing agency because they think that they'll have to reinvest and redo their website that they spent so much time and money on. So talk to us about that. If they have a website that they love, how can you help them without totally taking that over?
Yeah, it really depends if they own their URL, the website address. A lot of podiatrists are worried, like, wait, if I make a switch from one company to another, am I going to lose all my history associated with that SEO and my visibility online? It's actually a great question and concern. And the answer is, if they own that URL, then it all moves forward with you. You don't lose anything. It all goes forward. And then, in some cases, we've met podiatrists that spent $10,000 or more on their website. There's no blogs, there's no content, it's just a pretty good looking website, over $10,000. So if that was the case and they love that website, fine, keep it. We could plug into it, or we prefer to get it on our platform so we could do all of work our magic. We could create what I call its twin brother. So you would never tell the difference just on our platform. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Perry has another one, and I'm loving that he is asking these questions. So Thank you. Keep them coming.
Go, Dr. Perry.
No question is too many. He said, how can I tell if my website is pulling properly? I'm guessing that might be related to SEO. I'm not sure.
Well, we have like a dashboard and review calls we work with our customers on. Some people want to get really, granular about that stuff. You could do things like phone tracking, you could do that, but I'm not a huge fan of that, because you're giving up your phone number of your office in exchange for a tracking number. Some people really do like that, but there's different ways. But again, review calls we do with our customers is one way to get more clarity about it. And again, if a practice is changing or growing or taking on a new doctor or a new location, that's a great time to get with an account manager to talk about what we got, what it looks like. And, in some cases, if something is off, then we want to discuss it, look at it, figure out what's wrong, and, adapt and pivot,
So Randy, would your strategy session answer some of his questions? Like he asked, is his website pulling hits, calls, etc. properly? Would your strategy session kind of address some of his concerns in a short amount of time?
Well, as far as, like the hits that it's pulling, like that's usually our account managers who would do that, for our customers with our dashboard. What we would look at is how visible is that podiatrist, how many reviews does he have? So it's really about visibility, credibility, reputation management, those types of things. Our directories updated, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's the thing, and you hit on this earlier, to not try this at home. This stuff is time consuming, and to keep it updated and maintained, it can't just be a one and done and then move on to the next thing. And I think that's what happens a lot of times with any business is you'll do a project, it's over, and then we start a new project and the other one just kind of starts to bleed through the cracks.
Right.
And it's not that we can't move forward and have new projects, but the other ones still have to be maintained by some sort of staff. And it's tough. I mean, even just having a social media presence is a full-time job. Yeah. And to keep up with blogs and then doing it on the back end with all of the SEO and the tags and naming, like even just naming the images on the website is critical. All of this impacts the way the little spiders find your website and rank your website in organic search results. It's impossible to do it and have another full-time job. It's just,
It's
at least to do it right.
And a lot of podiatrists, but service providers, some podiatrists are, I call it fragmented, meaning that one company is hosting their website and they're paying for that. Another company is doing their content marketing, blogs, whatever, and another company is doing their social media. They're paying 2-3 different fees to two or three different companies, and they're wondering who's accountable for all of it. It's just confusing. They're paying 3 different fees when they could be overlapping and paying too much, and they don't know who to speak to about what.
Absolutely. And that's really tricky. And I think that is important to note, especially with the question regarding, do you have to give up your website? Obviously not, but it makes it easier when one entity has control over all of it, because a lot of times if there's something that you want to do on social media and then you want to put it in the blogs into the website, potentially there, if it's a WordPress site, your staff could probably be able to go in and figure it out. But it's always trickier when you're kind of like handcuffed in that way and you lose a sense of control. And you basically are like trying to do these amazing things with 2 hands tied behind your back. And it's a really tough magic show to make it work. I hate it when my clients don't let me do their website, because I'm just like, I can't do anything. It drives me bonkers. And so again, it's not, obviously you said it's not 100% necessary, but I think if you want to get the maximum results, you have one entity doing it, because where all the pieces are pulling from, and all the content matches and everything is consistent and nothing's going to slip through the cracks in that sense.
Yeah. We've had, we have an amazingly high retention rate with our customers, but we have had certain podiatrists that got curious, said, you know what, I might be able to do this on my own. They actually try to do the optimization and maybe start running some of the blogs and do some Google stuff on their own. And they come back to us. It's like, I tell them, I said, don't do it. I'm warning you. It does not end well. Of course, then I have one coming back this week. But it's.
I think the best thing that a practice can do, though, regarding content is communicate patient experiences or specific cases, because obviously you're not in the practice with them every single day. You don't see the day-to-day, and there could be some. Let's say somebody did a really amazing, minimally invasive bunion surgery, and that would be an awesome story. You guys don't know about it because you're not in the practice. You're not part of their, in the practice as their staff. But if somebody on their staff, you had a phone call and told that story, then you can write it, because I do think those very intimate stories are impactful. And that's where the practice can have an impact on their content without having to get inundated with just telling people what a mosaic ward is.
Yeah. I have had a couple customers, not really clients of mine, but just people reach out to me that wanted help with email marketing or, managing their online profile. That's not something that I do, but I I am familiar with the concept of physicians wanting to reach out to someone like, I really just need help with this one aspect of online marketing. And the problem that you run into, and the problem that I have with some of my association clients too, is everything online marketing related is connected. And so that's why, like Sarah was saying, she gets frustrated when some people don't give her access to the back end of their websites. I experience the same thing because it's time consuming to go through a third party and tell them we'd like to make this change. And it's frustrating when you have to communicate the same information to your website manager and to your social media manager and to your email marketing person and to your SEO person.
And they're usually not podiatry specific. I remember saying them, they're like, do you mean pediatric? I'm like, no, I don't. I said, oh. And I'm like, oh.
Right. Yeah, Anne, you mentioned about email marketing. Before we came on here tonight, I was watching, the usual, the news, and then Jeopardy, and then Wheel of Fortune in that order, and right after that commercial came on for Dr. Scholl's, the crappy orthotics over the counter, and so we know that unfortunately a lot of podiatrists get pigeonholed in that. So if you're the doctor that clips their nails, that's what they tend to remember you for, and don't realize that you actually can prescribe, custom orthotics when you're the foot and ankle specialist, right? But yet they see the commercial on TV for Dr. Scholl. So I mentioned that because, and actually I didn't mention this during our presentation, but that feedback and review system that we have that utilizes the AR. So if it takes the patient names and email addresses, it can send out campaigns to get feedback and reviews, but it also does the same thing with campaigns to promote things like custom orthotics. So if you want to do, campaigns to target market a certain group, but maybe you have active patients, but maybe dormant patients who you haven't seen in 6 months or a year. You want to get them back into the office for diabetic foot screening or whatever it is. You can, a lot of people know, like constant contact, you can do and utilize the same type of system in a way that does promotional things, which is powerful.
And this is so relevant right now. I mean, Randy, this is an idea for a future webinar, but we could probably do an entire webinar just on the value of email marketing, because in today's online marketing space, with social media, Facebook and Instagram changing their algorithms, who even knows what the heck that means,
right,
almost every day, you can't even keep up with it. And Sarah and I are very, experienced with that, and we struggle with it. And so I'm here to tell you, email marketing is the only thing that's constant. It's the only thing that you actually own. It's the only thing that you as a business owner have control over. And so if it is not a priority for you, it needs to be. You need to set that as your number one priority for tomorrow, to look into email marketing, start building your list. And it doesn't matter if you have 5 people on it, it will grow. And you just have to be consistent. And like Sarah and I, our main focus is email marketing. That is how we reach people. Social media is a low priority for us. And I've even talked to business owners lately, multi-million-dollar business owners, who have said, I'm off of Instagram because it doesn't work for my business and it doesn't work for me and it stresses me out. I'm off of Facebook because it doesn't work for me and it doesn't work for my business. So email is it, and your SEO and your online reputation is it. So that needs to be a priority for everyone.
Yep, well put. I agree. Yeah, it's important. I utilize, maybe some people on here get my emails twice a week, and I've hired a professional person that helps me create that content, valuable content, and try not to make it salesy, but educational. Of course, there's a call to action. If they like what they read, they want to learn more about it, they know where to reach me. But we try to drip valuable information so it helps position me as a resource in our company.
Exactly. And it acts as a constant reminder to that patient who, they may be thinking, oh, I've got this pain in my heel, but it's not that bad, I'll just wait. But then they get an email a week later that says, do you have heel pain? Come in now. We can help it before it gets worse and before you require surgery or, a huge intervention. And so those kind of constant reminders are not a nuisance. It is absolutely necessary. It's for your patient's well-being and it's for the health of your practice. I mean, I'm never annoyed by emails.
Yeah. Again, another thing we didn't touch on is one of the things that we do. I mentioned again, we're Podiatry Content Connections, so we're really big on content. So we write blogs and articles every week for every one of our customers. But mixed in with those blogs, we added something called spot campaigns, and I didn't show it here tonight. I think maybe going forward, I'll spotlight this a little bit, pardon the pun, spotlight, but spot campaigns. But basically, a blog could be 200 to 300 words, kind of content heavy, so to speak, and a spot campaign is just a visual with a call to action, because most people learn and read, they like visuals. Videos are good for that, and spot campaigns like a mini ad that are mixed in with our blogs go to the website, Facebook and Twitter, and can also be utilized through email campaigns. A lot of times less is more online because people have the attention span of a fly and they don't want to read if you see a video and it shows you it's only a 47-second video versus a 6-minute video. You know what? I can deal with the 47 seconds. I'll watch it now versus 6 minutes. I don't think so. I don't have the time. So,
and this is definitely all about the long game, because when we talk about search, obviously that is a reactive action. I have an ingrown toenail and now I need to find somebody. Maybe I don't have an ingrown toenail right now, but those emails kept coming, or I keep seeing the blog post, and and then my mom gets an ingrown toenail and she's like, Sarah, oh my God, I have an ingrown toenail. Who's top of mind? That I've done this where I'm like, you know what? I think I know someone, like, I don't ever really pay attention to it, but there is somebody in town that I see all this stuff from, and let me look it up really quick and do that. It's about building a brand so that when somebody does have the issue, you are the first person that pops in their brain. And then helpful, when you type in the name on Google, you pop up first.
right.
But these other activities are, it's like Inception. It's just putting it in the brain a little bit at a time, so that when I need you, and when I say this is a long game, it is a long game. You can't do an email marketing campaign for 90 days and be like, I haven't seen a huge influx. It's like, well, maybe it's going to take a year for that person that's on your list to actually break their ankle. You don't know when they're going to. So these things take time, and you just have to keep doing it. And as soon as you stop, like when, and this is a big thing that happens when we hit hard times or, budgets need to be cut. It's like, cut marketing. It's like, do not cut marketing. That's the last thing you want to cut, because when it's time to come back, you're no longer top of mind anymore, and no one can find you. Cut the coffee in the break room, do that.
Right. Yeah. Randy, it is 9:00, and so we don't want to take up any more time, but I want to give you this thought for the next time, another idea for one of the future webinars.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the type of content that you want to push out to people? Because I think that practices really struggle with that balance of highlighting some kind of promotion or something that they're running, and offering what Sarah and I call valuable content, where it doesn't matter whether they're a customer or not, they'll find it valuable. So that balance of jab, 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 punch. What is that thing, Sarah? It's like jab, 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 something. I don't know. Okay. Value, value, value.
Right.
Your sales thing.
Right. I mean, you can create value over time, and then every so often you have an offer. And once you establish, once they know, like, and trust you, then they're more likely to hear you out, because they've gotten value already.
Right, exactly. So ideas about what kind of content patients would find as valuable, I think that would be helpful to your audience, because it is good for your current customers. It is good for future prospective customers, because they know that this is what you're providing, and it helps all of us get better. So,
those are things like ebooks, for example. they could download, you could offer an ebook on whatever, heel pain, whatever it is, or running, exercise. Others out there do that. And in order to get it, they're going to ask for your name and your email address. They capture that. And then that could go into an autoresponder, similar to what I mentioned before, the feedback and reviews as a system you could send out. There are guys out there like Andrew Schneider and others that are really good with videos, like videos on an autoresponder, constantly sending out videos. So there's little things that you could and should do if you get into the rhythm of it. But marketing is, it's strategic, and it's
well, that's the thing is the content that you're going to put out is also going to depend on what kind of practice you want to build. If you want to be a sports medicine practice, your content should be focused on runners, dancers, soccers, orthotics.
Right. Good point.
And maybe not so much on a shark, not that information isn't helpful or in that you maybe see those types of patients, but that's just on your website as a service that you provide. It's not the bread and butter that you're spending your marketing budget on attracting those types of patients.
Right.
If you want to be a sports medicine practice, that's the content you focus on. If you want to be a diabetic wound care practice, that's and you don't have to pigeonhole yourself. It doesn't mean you don't see those other types of patients, but why not see the types of patients you really want to see, and why not spend your money getting those types of patients in the door?
I agree.
Definitely.
Good stuff.
So, Randy and Carol from Podiatry Content Connection, they host webinars with us pretty much every month. So just keep an eye out for our emails. Keep an eye out on our website. You can always look on our website under Practice Partner Academy to see what's coming up, the schedule, what Randy and Carol are talking about. And we've also got webinars from all of our other sponsors as well.
Will you give me share tools?
Oh, yeah.
And really
I was going to say,
I'm going to interrupt. Well,
I was going to say, Carol, you must have
Sarah.
something exciting, right?
I do. I have our winner.
Right.
So are everybody ready?
We're
Excited?
ready.
It is Dr. Matthew Barkoff. So
Yay!
he is our winner. Randy, why don't you tell him what he won?
All right. Well, tonight it's going to be the $35 Amazon gift card.
Awesome. So Randy, what do you need from Dr. Barkoff? You're going to get probably his email address at the end of this.
Actually, we chatted after our last webinar, and
good.
it turns out it's just so funny because I live in New York City. He is.
That's right.
He's near me, and I actually was supposed to meet him tomorrow. I mentioned this before, but my wife reminded me that we're actually going to see that Styx concert tomorrow, so not going to see him then. But I could email him the gift card, and but I'll be seeing him hopefully whenever our calendars provide for that. But
yeah, he's just a couple blocks from you. I feel like you should just walk up and grab lunch and stop by and see him.
That's the plan. I'm going to go see his office, and we'll do that. So, and I see on the screen here you got Swift.
Yes. So I just want to make sure that everyone is aware. A week from tomorrow is our next Practice Partner Academy session with Seorsa and Swift. So we are going to be discussing case studies for their champion product, Swift.
Microwave technology, and it's Sursa.
I know, I can't ever say it. I always mispronounce it. I sound like I have like a speech impediment when I say it. So, which, maybe I do, but we always use the exact same link for our webinars. So the same link that you used for tonight's webinar will be reincarnated for next week's webinar. So just make sure be sure though to register here so that we can send you a reminder. But if you just think you're going to be really good and you don't need a reminder, you can always just put this on your calendar now.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
That's all.
And then Randy will be back next time, probably next month, with some more awesome information for us.
Stay tuned. But
yes,
give us some good food for thought for some new subject matter. So thanks for that. Appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thanks
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.